floor, I'll also quickly just cover some other product updates of stuff that's been happening over the last month or so. First, on GCP, Hasura Cloud, as you would have heard, as folks might have heard, is also now available on Google Cloud. So this is on 3 regions. So I think Frankfurt, Iowa, and another region that's available in the US too. So I think US West Central and Frankfurt. So this is available on request. We've also introduced dedicated VPCs that are now available on request. So if you want a dedicated VPC, pair that to your systems, just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be able to switch that on too. So that's on the Hasura Cloud side. A few important updates on the Bigquery and SQL Server side. A bunch of enhancements on Bigquery's improvements to aggregations so that they support joins as well now. Support for distinct on for the Bigquery GraphQL API. For SQL Server, upserts are finally in, which is awesome. Upserts are a little bit different from the way it works in Postgres, but upserts are just always a very useful thing. So a slightly different syntax, but a kind of very useful capability again, and some other improvements that you'll see in the changelog. So if you're using Bigquery SQL Server, please do give that a spin. Let us know. Some of the SQL Server mutations features do have to come into the console on the data side, I think, but otherwise the feature is already available on the GraphQL API or is already merged in the GraphQL API. On our Restified endpoints in generating the kind of Swagger specification automatically, or the Open API specification when you're using the Restified endpoints feature to create REST endpoints from Hasura instead of GraphQL endpoints directly. Some enhancements there that have landed as well. Support for request and response bodies in the schema, improved kind of some bug fixes and improvements on the way path segments and aliases show up in the Open API spec as well. So you should be able to try that out too. So those are kind of some key enhancements there. I'll also talk a little bit about some really cool work that we have in progress. And so you can kind of subscribe to that issue as well. So we've been working over the last few weeks along with a few users and on kind of improving the speed at which Hasura, the query that Hasura generates along with permissions for RLS. So Hasura's permission system is very similar to RLS, which Hasura implements inside Hasura's layer instead of using the database's RLS system, which may or may not be available depending on what flavor of Postgres you're talking to or what database you're talking to. One of the problems that we noticed was we kind of relied on Postgres's query planner to deduplicate permission filters that were coming in, right? So let's say, for example, you had, you were querying a parent and a child. So you were querying, let's say, authors and their articles, right? And the permission rule was that author can be read by the author, but article can also be read by the author. So what would happen is that the permission rule would be duplicated across the author and the article models, and the Postgres planner would not kick out that duplicate permission rule, right? It would apply that predicate again, right? So the work that we've been doing is in kind of removing those duplicate predicates, right? So that the query that's generated is a lot more efficient. And from kind of some of our initial work, this has a pretty massive impact, because in a lot of scenarios, you'll notice that your permission rules have a pretty heavy overlap with the relationships that you already have to, right? Especially if you're following like a viewer model for kind of what your schema is starting to look like. So amazing enhancements there. One of the cool things is this makes Hasura's RLS, it was already a little bit faster than Postgres RLS. It makes it significantly faster than Postgres RLS because this optimization doesn't happen at the Postgres layer. So this should be awesome. We've had a bunch of issues where people have talked about performance improvements that they've desired with permissions as well. So this is work actively in progress. We'll link you to the issue in the description for the community call so that you can subscribe to it, and you can track progress over the coming weeks as we work on it. We're doing a first pass on this, and then we're doing a second pass on this that is a kind of more generic way to optimize the query. But we're doing a first pass on the optimization that will take care of a few of the basic scenarios that we've seen often. So that's been some of the cool work in progress.